Thanks to a steady march of releases, the Yakuza series has finally sharpened its particular style of open-world structure and beat-em-up combat. Yakuza games are not only filled with an abundance of things to do, but there is always a carefully crafted main story supported by side missions that effortlessly shift between the absurd and the serious. Over time, Yakuza has built a sizable following, and awareness of the series has gradually increased outside of Japan. Judgment, made by the same studio, takes the familiar format of Yakuza but inserts an entirely new story and cast. Although it is very much cut from the same cloth, Judgment manages to stand proudly alongside Yakuza thanks to the meticulous design of its world and how the various systems play out within it. The game is also easy to get quickly attached to thanks to the genuinely intriguing story and likable characters.
Who are you?
It's difficult to follow a lead, like Yakuza's Kazuma Kiryu. However, Judgment's Takayuki Yagami is about as strong of a character as you could hope for. Yagami used to be a practicing lawyer, but due to a tragic incident, he ran away from the job, doubting his own ability to discern the truth. He defended a client he truly believed in, only for that same client to get accused of murdering a young woman not long after. Yagami now works as a detective, taking whatever jobs he can, which leads to investigating grisly murders that expand into a case of increasing complexity.
That day, my career as a lawyer died alongside Emi-chan. Both murdered by Shinpei Okubo.
What makes Yagami so effective is how grounded he feels. Although haunted by his past, Yagami is never overly morose about it. He constantly pushes ahead, partially because he has to, and partially because it's difficult to face what happened head-on. The experience certainly gave Yagami an edge, but he still has a sense of humor and a strong conviction for doing what's right. Such believability makes him easy to latch onto, and he admirably anchors the game. The same believability is applied to other characters as well, and although they may often fit into common archetypes, they always feel well-defined. Judgment does feature an English dub, which hasn't been offered since the original Yakuza on PS2. The dub is solid, and although some ancillary performances aren't as strong as they could be, it's a fine option if dub is your preference. Players can also choose the original Japanese audio with English subtitles, and it's possible to switch between the options throughout.
やってないと言ってるそうだ。警察の言いがかりだともな。
じゃあ無罪を主張するってことか。
The story becomes quite elaborate, with so many different characters hiding aspects about themselves or secretly aligning with particular groups. Despite how entangled everything becomes, Judgment is always able to tell its story clearly, reminding players of important components regularly and never rushing past events too quickly. The biggest problem with Judgment is that it so often gets in its own way. There are plenty of times when you'll be waiting for someone to initiate the next step in the main story, be forced into a side mission, or get asked to run trivial errands. A huge part of the appeal of Judgment is soaking in everything the city has to offer, and it does have a lot to offer, but it's frustrating that when you do want to move on, the game throws these roadblocks in the way. It's been a problem in the past, and it's disappointing to see it return here as prominently as it does. There's a gripping story at the heart of Judgment, and if told a bit more tightly, it would have even more of an impact than it already does.
Welcome to the fantasy zone. Get ready.
Kamurocho, the district where the game takes place, is consistently engrossing. There's a wide variety of side activities, including playing games at the arcade, darts, the batting cages, drone races, a VR board game, and gambling. While these activities are enjoyable on their own, what makes them especially engaging is how interconnected everything is, and how sufficiently you're rewarded for doing almost anything. Practically every activity rewards you with SP, which can be used to purchase skills that can greatly enhance Yagami's capabilities in combat. Something as simple as visiting a restaurant and trying a new item on the menu rewards SP. Not only do you get SP, but there's a good chance you'll trigger a friend event. These events happen with many people throughout Judgment, from shopkeepers to just random passerby on the street. By doing small tasks, such as frequenting their place of business or spending a certain amount of money, your relationship with a particular person will increase. Once it's maxed out, Yagami's overall reputation in the city grows, providing a greater number of side mission opportunities. The side missions are more than worth doing, not only for the rewards they provide, but also because of how entertaining they can be. For instance, one has you tracking down a terrorizing pervert by the name of Ass Ketchum. Judgment does an excellent job of encouraging players to see as much as possible, since the game bombards you with positive feedback regardless of what you're doing, and it does it in a way that feels natural. Just by running down the street, you'll likely stumble into an activity which may lead to something else. A lot of these ideas aren't new, but it's still commendable how expertly Judgment ties them all together.
So much for being careful.
No matter what you do, there's a lot of fighting involved. Yagami can switch between two different combat styles on the fly. The Tiger style is good for one-on-one battles, and the Crane style is more effective for groups. As Yagami fights, he builds up an EX meter, allowing him to do powerful EX attacks, which function almost exactly like heat actions in the Yakuza games. The way Yagami moves throughout fights is both flashy and graceful, constantly flipping and spinning around for various attacks, making it satisfying both to perform these actions and to watch. Mortal wounds cause combat to be slightly more strategic than in the Yakuza games. At certain points during prominent fights, the enemy glows, signifying they're about to do an attack that causes a mortal wound. Such an attack shaves off a chunk of your maximum health, and you can't get that health back unless you heal at a specific location or use expensive medical kits. Mortal wounds can also be avoided by going into a special EX burst state, but doing so quickly drains the gauge, which is used for EX attacks. The trade-off and the consequential punishment for getting hit demands a reasonable amount of focus during combat. It also goes a long way to make climactic fights actually feel threatening. However, even with all the positive aspects, it doesn't completely prevent combat from getting just a bit tired by the end of the game, since fights don't change too dramatically throughout.
Over 3 months, 3 Kansai Yakuza have turned up dead.
As a detective, Yagami utilizes various methods for obtaining information as well as getting access to areas he's not supposed to be in. You pick locks on doors, put on disguises, search for clues in crime scenes, tail suspicious people, and even use a small drone to monitor areas. All of these things help to break up the constant cycle of fights and conversations, even if only a little. Most of them don't last very long either, so it's a nice change of pace. You're regularly asked to present questions in the right order if you want to be rewarded with a little bit of extra SP, which encourages you to pay attention to dialogue. The only activity that eventually wears out its welcome is tailing people. Later on, especially, these segments go on for too long and repeat too often, becoming tedious instead of tense or exciting. Judgment manages to be great regardless of where you're coming from, thanks to the direction the game takes and how well it tackles that direction. If you're a longtime Yakuza fan already endeared to the series, there are enough tweaks and ideas to make the familiar enticing again. If you're brand new to the Yakuza style, no knowledge whatsoever of the past games is required, serving as a perfect starting point. No matter what your experience, know that Judgment is very much worth carving out time for.
So generous.
Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.